Welcome to the Ambient iPad. It's been a while since I've done a bass-only jam, so that's what I'm going to do in this video. The only hardware I'll be using is the bass, a Rob Allen Deep 4 fretless bass, which goes into a Boss volume pedal, which I have on the floor. The volume pedal output goes into a Universal Audio Volt 276 interface, which communicates back and forth with the iPad Pro. I'm not going to be using any hardware effects, just effects that I've set up. In AUM, I've got kind of a kitchen sink for the bass setup here that I use. I can go anywhere from just straight ahead sounds with a little effect all the way up to soundscapes and a whole bunch of other weirdness. So we'll be doing a bit of that today. The way I have AUM set up, let me briefly go through this and then I'll kind of demonstrate some of the sounds. As I have a channel that goes into Soundscape apps, which is bus A, and I have things like Velvet Machine, SpaceFields, which I'll be using today, SpaceFields. I've also got Tap Delay, I will not be using that, and then Gauss, which is a great looping app, and I'll be using that as well. And then the second channel for bass here, a whole bunch of different effects, which I can use to create more soundscapes over those original bed of soundscapes, or just soloing, which I'll do a bit of as well. So right now, this is that first channel that will feed the Soundscape apps. That's the direct sound. I should note I have a high pass filter set to about 120 hertz, so anything below 120 hertz is just cut out. The reason I do that is this bass is extremely bassy. With the piezo pickup, it's got a great preamp in it, and but it does pump out a lot of bass. All right, so there's a whole bunch of effects here. I'm not going to demonstrate all of them because I will not be using all of them. But one of the ones I want to use is, let's turn on the Bleass delay, and we'll turn on the Bleass phaser. All right, and then K7D, of course. And I do have a Rough Rider from Audio Damage as a compressor set on here to just some light compression just to control the bass. And those will go into SpaceFields. So let me just turn SpaceFields on and demonstrate what that soundscape sounds like. Then I'll turn that down and I'll demonstrate some of the solo sounds and we'll just kind of keep going. So with SpaceFields on, and you know what? I'm not going to turn any of those on for that one channel. And everything goes out to the audio outputs. The difference, though, is that we have this soundscape. What we're going to create in SpaceFields will go out into bus B. So I've got some spatializer on that just to make it wider. The solo sounds will just go through the effects, and then they just go straight out. So let's just start here creating something. And once the sound stops, that's when the loop stops. I guess it doesn't really matter what I do. So let's stop the sound. So now we've got, and this is a patch I created in SpaceFields. So as you can tell, it just does a lot of wild, wacky stuff. Now what I want to do at this point is turn off this channel, so now nothing else will go. It's just that loop that I've created going out to bus B into spatializer and then to the audio output. And then over that, we can do a whole bunch of stuff with the second channel that's just for bass. So why don't I turn off SpaceFields just so you can hear what's going on here. Oh, and so we've got the input, the output. I think we need to change here. Ah, the volume pedal. I could sit here for an hour trying to rechange things, and it had nothing to do with any of that. So here's that straight sound through the second channel. I've got Bleass compressor. Open that up. Bleass compressor is going. Just a light compression. Again, bass benefits well from some real judicious compression. You can go overboard too and get a Tony Levin kind of really squoze sound as well. So I've got FAC phaser. And I can use this channel just for anything, really. And it does get progressively more weird. We've got AudioThing's bubbles. And then we've got Bleass granulizer. Pretty cool. Eventide crystals. This is not a typical crystal setting, as opposed to kind of getting that crystal effect on the top end. It does it on the low end. Which, this is how I use crystals more, only because that top end crystal sound is a little overused through the years at this point. But this just creates that kind of low. So we'll definitely use that. And then another audio damage, other desert cities. This does a lot of cool stuff as well. Let me turn that on. You can use this as a soundscape app too, but I will not be doing that in this example. And finally, I have Eventide Spring, just for some reverb, and actually I should have turned that on to begin with, but here's what the reverb sounds like. Just kind of a large, I mean, you can really hear that metallic-y spring. I like spring reverb on bass. All right, so let's turn SpaceFields back on, and then let me just demonstrate some of the stuff I can do with this other channel. Let's keep the reverb on. This also has, I'm using Mixbox, the EQ in there, just to EQ a bunch of the low end out. So this is bubbles. And let's try granulizer. I'll turn them all on once I demonstrate them one at a time. Then that crystals, that'll go good here with that low sound. Let's add other desert cities to that. And let's bring in granulizer. Come on. There we go. Let's add bubbles. And what we could do at this point is kind of go back to the first one, turn on a few effects. Let's see here. Let's get a couple of phaser. No, actually, no. Let's get a couple of delays going here and the reverb. And because I turned that on, for whatever reason, it kind of created another short loop here. So let me get SpaceFields going again. When I turned that channel back on, SpaceFields interpreted that as a new loop, so it started that loop, which really wasn't anything. That's why there was silence there. So now that that's going, I want to kind of demonstrate what I would do to get Gauss going, and let's kind of keep all that stuff on here. Turn off A again. Just want to get stuff going, and then kind of you could just fade. I'll do this quicker. During a jam, I would just have a bunch of these sounds going in the background, and you could elegantly fade out SpaceFields, and then let's get, so just keep something going there just for the fun of it. Let's get Gauss going, turn that on. So now I'm going through this first channel with some of those effects on. Now you can hear Gauss pick that up. But that other channel is on as well, so we're getting those sounds, not on the loop, so I turn that off. Again, I'm just like randomly throwing stuff down. During the jam, it'll be a little more elegant. So now that that's going, we can then turn off that first channel again, turn the second one on, just go for a more straight ahead sound with, so we've got the Bleass compressor going. FAC phaser, and Eventide spring. So that's all that solo sound will be. Let's see what this sounds like. We could also, of course, bring back SpaceFields. No, but there's no loop going. When I turn it on and off, it erases the loops, but you get the idea here. The idea is really having a real kind of big setup in AUM where you can just, not have to worry about, ooh, yeah, actually that effect is there. You can turn them on, you can turn them off. And also it does give you a huge palette for experimentation. So let me reset everything up. And do a jam. So let me keep that soundscape going. It'll fade out in the background pretty quickly. But as you could tell, I just kind of applied all those things I talked about during that long introduction and going through AUM, setting up the soundscape, using that other channel to do, I guess, other weirdness on it as well as more straight ahead sounds. And then as I talked about, I actually, you could hear it in that I faded out. I had a bunch of the different kind of more longer delay-ish kind of apps going on that second channel for the solo. So I just kind of created some of that stuff underneath, and I was able to then get a loop going in, well, fade out SpaceFields and then turn on Gauss and get a loop going in Gauss. And then you can just kind of go crazy over it. Granted, this is more of a darker soundscape. The bass lends itself more to the darker soundscapes, and when you're using SpaceFields, it's kind of hard to get outside that realm, but it kind of fits the winter season now. And you know, just being able to take one instrument and transform the sound so much is something I really enjoy doing. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.